Alright, so today we're looking at the Nebula C from Xigmatek. So this is the little sister or little brother to the Nebula, which is their metal version of this. So this is the polycarbonate version. Plastic, all around. Steel frame, and maybe you noticed that the original Nebula had like a base and this one does not. So I think the person who should buy this is the person that loves the aesthetic. If you think that this is the coolest case you've ever seen, then buy it. Beyond that, maybe home theater PCs or small office PCs, but that's about it because this thing has almost no cooling. It's really weird how little ventilation it has. Take a look at the outside first, then I'll strip it down so you can see it because all these panels do come off. So starting over here on the right hand side, you do have input and outputs for your headset and your microphone, and you have two USB 3.0 super speed ports. It's weird to notice that the headset port and your microphone port, they're not labeled, so I don't know, you gotta figure it out. Once you figure it out, though, I guess you're okay. Power button is at the top. There's also no reset switch, so I don't. Hard drive activity light is over here, so that's cool. And that's pretty much it. There's not really much going on in this case on the outside, and that's part of the appeal of it. The aesthetic is very minimal and cool, kind of modern, Apple-esque, but, you know, for PCs. Two expansion slots. Your PSU goes here. You have your 120mm fan here, and this is your input-output port shield, or your input-output shield goes for your motherboard. It is all strippable, so I'm going to strip the whole thing down now. So there you go, it's completely naked, and now you can actually see the full layout of the case. So taking a look at it on this side, we'll start up here. You do have two 3.5-inch caddies. There is a 2.5-inch SSD conversion caddy on the inside of this one, but there's also a spot right underneath here to put a 2.5-inch drive. So most likely what you do is put your SSD down here and then put two 3.5-inch drives up here. There is no support for 5.25, so don't even bother trying, but you know, these are actually pretty decent. They're very solidly built caddies. Yeah, there we go. There's the caddy for the 2.5-inch adapter. They're built nicely, and once they're locked in there, they actually lock in pretty secure and nice. Yeah, nice little click, so I like that. Now, your mini ITX motherboard is going to sit on the bottom, and that's kind of one of the weird things. It is like perforated on the bottom. So I guess the backside of your motherboard is going to be cooled very, very well. As far as support for CPU coolers goes, you know, you can't tell, but right here, if you have your motherboard, your CPU cooler is going to be hitting, it's actually going to come over here, but it may hit here depending on what kind you have. Your CPU cooler is going to go about right here. You have about 80mm, so it's not too much, not as much as you'd probably like to get a bigger cooler. So low profile coolers are going to fit in here. You could potentially, and I say very, very potentially, maybe somehow get a 120 rad in this little slot right here. But this fan is already a super slim fan. There is support for graphics cards up to 230mm. More or less, there is no other intake of air anywhere in the case. It's all going to come from the bottom and around the sides of the motherboard, and then come up and then go out through the 120mm fan in the back, and that's it. There's literally nothing else for ventilation. There's nothing coming from the top. It's a little bit bizarre, but that's the way it's set up. And beyond that, that's pretty much it. There's not much to this case. It's got, you know, good support for a couple hard drives and an SSD. It's got a, you know, support for a mini ITX motherboard, but ventilation options are not very good. Cooling options are not very good. The aesthetic is nice, I'll give it that. If you like this kind of case and this suits you, then it's the person who sees this case and is like, that's the case I want, is going to get it regardless of what's on the inside or how it works. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The Xigmatek Nebula C, the plastic polycarbonate version of the Nebula. If you have any questions on it, feel free to email us, and we'll see you guys next time.